Attention students, the Jabroni University Network is now in session. Please make your way to class.
Rad Chaser. Rad Chaser. Rad Chaser. Rad Chaser. Rad Chaser.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Chaser Brothers Super Show with me, the son of Rad Chaser, and the man of the hour who reads Nintendo Power, the Bionic Commando in Orlando, the gamer who should come with a disclaimer.
Rad Chaser.
It's not the result of one's life that's important. It's the day-to-day concerns, the personal victories, and the celebration of life and love. It's enough if people are able to experience the joy that each day can bring. Tara Branford, Final Fantasy VI. How's it going, beautiful chasers?
A real poignant at high noon today.
Well, we're going to keep it classy up front because it's most certainly going to devolve here on out.
That sounds like it. Let's just get the business out of the way, and we'll start devolving real fast. For news and content updates, be sure to subscribe to Rad Chaser on YouTube and follow us on Instagram at Rad Chaser, and subscribe to the Chaser Brothers podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please don't forget to give us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening, or tell us how you feel directly at chaserbros@gmail.com. And I've deviated from the script because first I was supposed to give thanks before I did the business, but we'll do the thanks now. So, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome.
Hi.
We hit 2,200 subs since the last time we got on the since the last time we've shown up. So, you guys are coming in. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for joining us in our weird little world.
Yeah, we're on our way to 1 million subs, so we'll see in about 50,000 years.
If you guys listen, we need each one of you to tell about 3,000 to 5,000 of your friends, and then we'll be hitting that 1 million sub mark at no time.
Awesome.
Let us give thanks for the purveyors of stuff. I'd like to give a shout out to Professor Raichu. I know you got some stuff from him lately. He just had a claim sale last night, and I got some more stuff from Professor Raichu.
I too would like to give thanks to Professor Raichu. He's helping the NES Quest reach its 100 NES game goal, wherein I try to collect 100 NES games this year as my main quest on the YouTube channel. You could see it. Go there. Also, I would say, by way of course, a retro video game guy. He's the man. He's the dude.
Yes,
he's introduced us to all these claim sales.
Yeah, a shout out to any claim sale in existence. Shout out to retro video game guy.
All right, it's an inverted funnel now because it's like he's at the top, and then anything else is all roads lead back.
And I want to give thanks for a lovely comment on our latest long form YouTube video from at Daxter L Miller. Wrong button. He said, "Y'all need more views. Your content is great, and your video quality and sound is amazing." Thanks for that. We love doing it.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. We love seeing the comments. We try to respond personally to every comment out there, until we get so big that we gotta hire an AI chatbot to take care of it. But until then, you get the real deal.
We can get a real person on staff. That we probably won't.
Yeah. It's not on the budget yet.
Unfortunately, I can't spare half of my nothing that I'm making from this, so we're gonna have to do the dirty work ourselves right now.
I could give all of my nothing, but it's might not be enough.
All right. So yeah, thanks everyone. So we're gonna get into it today, and so we were chatting last night. It's been a long weekend, and we started talking about the stuff that we've been accumulating, and if you got a bunch of stuff and you're starting to succumb to what we call in the Junior Chaser Guidebook as a undirected stuff lust, where you just start snapping up everything you can, and then you're just looking at a bunch of stuff and you're going, what am I doing? We've devised a system to fix that so that you're not just buying up, we implement a little bit of impulse control, so you're not just snapping up every little thing. It's a little set of rules to help make your collection awesome. So that when you bring somebody in the room, maybe you're not so much going like, oh, I forgot I had this thing, and more so going, listen, I'm gonna give you a very curated demonstration of the cool stuff that I have in my little space.
Yeah. Yep.
So the first part of directing your undirected stuff lust is I sort of have 3 rules. The third one escapes me. I'm sure it's just as important as the first 2 rules I'm going to say. But these rules are good. These are good rules. So rule number 1: your stuff's got to look good on a shelf. Okay, that's a fair rule. Like if it's not aesthetically pleasing, you might end up. Do you understand?
Yeah, you're going to turn off whoever walks into the room. They're going to see, a hodgepodge, a melange of, garbage, and they can tell, they've got the eye for stuff. So that, if you're visually turned off, it's like, well, P.U. I'm not even going to walk into this room, and I'm not going to listen to what you have to say about it.
That's a hell of a friend there too, giving you true honesty. I don't want to look at the random mishmash of stuff you've acquired. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
He's a hoarder, but I love him.
So, rule number 2, and this is probably the more important one, although there is room to debate what the word finite means here. But what you're trying to collect needs to be finite. Now, that this is going to exclude National Geographics. This is going to exclude collecting newspapers, things hoarders would collect. Here's my beer can collection. I mean, look, people have done it and they've made it cool, but ultimately you're chasing after something that you're never ever going to fully chase down, and that can feed into the undirected stuff lust because in trying to chase down the impossible, you will grasp at anything you can, and that's not good.
Yeah.
And your wife doesn't want the garage taken over by 9 million different kinds of beer cans.
All right, she wants to park the car in there. Keep the sun damage off.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're building an awning, which you don't even need because you have a 2-car garage, and it just defeats the purpose.
You've converted the garage into a man cave of sorts, and I feel like that's a lot of men's dream to have something like that. Joe Everyman.
Yeah, look,
He just wants his spot.
If that's the spot and you've worked it out, then that's fine. Listen, we're not telling you how to. We're not telling you how to do your collection. We're just telling you how to do your collection. We're not telling you what
absolutely.
room it has to be confined to.
Yeah. Look, these are good rules because, look, when you are a collector and you start out, you don't know anything other than, oh, I like XYZ. I like video games, but I don't know where to start. So I'll just start, with whatever catches my eye. Ah, cool. This, that, and the third thing. You're going after a PS4 game one day. You're going after an NES game another day. And, you start accumulating things. And over time, it does start to pile up. And you start to, hopefully you get to this point where you say to yourself, well, I can't collect it all. I just can't. Even if money weren't an issue. I can't get it all. So the remedy to that is, it's time to specialize. And what that means is you say, okay, well, maybe I just want to, laser focus on, say, NES games at this point. Or I just want to collect, a franchise over everything, like Final Fantasy. I just want to collect all Final Fantasy stuff across all platforms. In this way, you'll sort to refine and start to curate a specialized collection, and maybe something that means, a little bit more to you personally, instead of, I just grabbed the shiny thing that looked cool in the moment, and it's not giving me joy now, so it's just like, well, it's just sitting there, and you don't know what to do with it. So, these 2 rules are good. Okay, what were they again?
It's got to look good on the bookshelf. It's got to be finite. And so yeah, specializing is the next phase. Specializing is technically phase 2. Phase 1 is you're buying the stuff that you like, and look, there's nothing wrong with that. But then eventually that does need to be refined, and you hit the nail on the head there. An interesting thing about specializing too is if you're like, I'm going to collect every video game or every video game system. I look, there's a lot of stuff, and video games don't seem like they're going to stop coming out. So I specialize. For console games, I specialize with what I like. It like the stuff that I'm going to play. So at any given moment, I could grab something off the shelf and I go, yeah, this is like, I forgot how much I love this game. I can get in there and do that. The other good thing about specializing is now, let's say you just want to specialize on consoles. You want to start getting consoles. Well, you are now equipped to be able to do some research and go, okay, there are between 30 to 50 consoles or whatever. You could put a number amount on it. And then now you have a focus to chip away at this number. So with me and the Nintendo Powers, it was okay. The first thing is like there's 285 issues, and then you start researching the thing, and it has this curious effect of getting you more interested in what you're collecting, aside from just being like your face value interest. And now you're learning, and this is great because you sort of become the docent of your own little museum of stuff. And you have a bunch of knowledge fired up and ready to go about it, and then, hey, oh man, this is cool that you have this. Like, yes, it is cool that I have it. Now let me tell you why it's cool, because this thing has a significant whatever attached to it, and that's great. And so yeah, specializing is the way to go. Look, if your thing isn't video games, like let's say your thing is like Gunpla or something, I dabbled in that a little bit too. And the first thing I started doing, I was like, oh gosh, like I don't know what I want to get, because I sort of got one as a gift from someone, and I put it together and I was like, this feels good. And I started looking more into it and stuff. And so initially I was like, I'm just going to get stuff from Gundam Wing. And so even with the Gundam Wing stuff, there was an original run of those things, and I started snapping those up, and that was sort of my collection. And as I got more into it, I was like, you know what? I need to get the RX-70 Gundam, because I feel like that's an important one.
Yeah.
So that I felt like that was an important part of like my pilgrimage in collecting that stuff. So like I said, you start getting interested in one aspect of it, and then you'll learn how to start narrowing stuff down, and then you start learning stuff about it, and it gets you more interested into your hobby as a whole. And that is, to me, what makes the chasing worth doing is, having all the cool stuff and being like, hey, there's a story behind all this stuff. It's not just sitting there to look cool.
Yeah. And it's kind of paradoxical because it's like, yeah, you get this stuff and you acquire this knowledge, and then, let's say you have a friend who comes over who's like, not as obsessed as you are about it, and then he brings his girlfriend or wife over, and she's just there for support, and now you're on stage, regurgitating what you've learned about this, this little obscure thing, and pontificating and bloviating about, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it gets a little tedious and cumbersome for, Joe Schmo friend and the girlfriend. However, if you can, find that little niche of, turbo nerds that are, in your same, kind of circle, that's where that knowledge really pays off. Because it gets their little sprungers going because they haven't heard this little tidbit of information. So it's nice to have it locked and loaded.
But what's that? You were showing off part of your collection. You saw a little twinkle. You saw a little twinkle in her eye. Now all of a sudden her attention is snapped there. The friend is just kind of wandering around aimlessly, and then she goes,
"Ooh,
wow, Chaser, tell me more." And you go, "Oh, well, I got a lot more to tell you." But maybe. You know what? Your husband looks a little bored. Maybe we send him on an errand to maybe go get some pizza. Maybe
yeah. Good 30, 45 minutes. Just
Yeah, just enough time, and then now you're alone, and those lights are a little bright. Why don't we just turn those down? Hey,
I just installed these faders.
Yeah, Not only do I collect video games, I also collect records. Let me put on my favorite romantic record. No, I mean I'm a big fan of romance records. Yeah, I'm not trying to get romantic.
Exotica. And I collect one more thing. My friends' girlfriends. You're rotten.
Oh, sorry, I got into a thing.
He forgot himself.
He comes back for pizza, and bing bang boom. Listen, this ain't Chaser's first rodeo. He's done his homework before, and man, nothing hits after a invigorating session of showing off your stuff. Wink, wink. Then a nice pizza. So the pizza was by design.
Yeah, it was definitely a pizza something that you got.
We've done this before.
And now we put her safely behind the glass case to be taken out later.
It's the
Talk about stuff lust.
It's yes, stuff lust then turns into actual lust. And she's got the stuff. Let me tell you. Mamma mia.
Isn't this a podcast about video games?
Oh, yeah, got a little sidetracked there. So, here is the last. This is the last thing about this. Is time will go on. Forever is a long time. Our tastes do change. Sometimes you may find yourself with a giant cool pile of stuff that brings you no joy.
Yeah.
And that is the thing. And so the last phase here is, and this is the Marie Kondo in me speaking. If it doesn't bring you joy, just don't be afraid to get rid of it.
Sure. And look, you now have this little chunk of whatever that you've curated that might be the perfect little something for somebody else that's now into it, and you've facilitated that for them. So now, in a sense, you're paying it forward to the next person while, freeing up space and mental, resources for, your next endeavor. So it's all circular.
Yes. And there's a song about how circular it is, but I'm not going to go into it. I'm gonna resist the urge to stim right now and
Good,
happy
good,
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I told the son of Chaser that if you ever get something stuck in your head, you just sing the first line of Happy Birthday, the do-do-do-do-do-do. Don't sing the second part, but sing that first part over and over. And you either fix your problem or make yourself more mad.
Yeah,
But it's out of our hands at that point.
Yeah, it's because we're in the middle of a podcast. We're gonna move on. So, Junior Chasers, a brief recap. Buy the stuff that you love. That's how the collection starts. You know, you have a general love, and then you just keep refining and refining and refining. I have a lot of NES games, and at one point, you know, I was like you, and I sort of am still like you, and you just want the numbers to go up. Now there is that core of games in there where I would pick up any of those games, and you know, my top 20 games are, you know, sort of in my possession.
Yeah.
So that was the way that I went. With video games, it's sort of the same thing. My Super Nintendo list is what I have is, I don't have, I wouldn't say I have more than 20 games, but you've seen the Super Nintendo collection. It's all bangers.
Oops, all bangers.
And so I try to follow these tenets when I'm picking up stuff where it's just like, you know what? I just want to get the games that are going to be things that I will grab right off of the shelf until I come up with some sort of different quest or guiding force to dictate what games I'm going to pick up, and then I'll have to obey that. So, once you feel yourself starting to get that directed stuff list, then you just remind yourself, hey, stuff's got to look good, and I got to start thinking about, you know, an end game here, so we got to get that number to be a finite number. You start specializing, you're getting the stuff that you know, either by what you like or by genre. Maybe, you know, specialize on, you know, a specific brand like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy as we're wont to do. And then finally, if it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it. Because it's not bringing you joy.
Right, and it's going to, you know, it's going to keep your collection alive. It's going to keep it dynamic. It's going to give it a fresh breath of air every so often. It's not just going to sit there and accumulate, you know, dust and, you know, fade into the background. It's going to be vibrant. It's going to be a vibrant life. So this is your call to action to do that. You know, you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to collect this stuff. So part of that, you know, it's your responsibility to, you know, maintain it, upkeep it, you know, play those records, get those toys out, and, you know, rearrange them, get the physical video games, get them out, play them, look at them, admire the art, you know, move things around. You know, you're only limited by your own imagination.
Open the blister pack if you're an uncivilized savage.
Oh, listen, don't disregard that. Belay that order.
Yeah, do not pop open that blister pack.
If you find a loose one, sure, but if you find one complete, yeah, get them both.
One to stock and one to rock.
Perfecto. You're right. And, you know, have you ever seen these videos where, like, I'm going to open up a 30-year-old, you know, blah, blah, blah? Don't. I'm going to open up an old mint on cards, you know, vintage Star Wars toy. No, you're not. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it for the likes. If nobody likes it, you're going to get dislikes. Do they still have that? They don't even have thumbs down anymore. For the snowflakes out there.
Hey, we did get a hearty handful of likes that time I opened that Nintendo Power that was sealed in a bag that I had to cut open. I did do it.
It's tough. Like, if I come across something sealed, I don't go out looking for sealed stuff, but if it comes my way in, like, say, a lot of things or whatever, for whatever thing, I'll leave it. I'll leave it sealed. You know, I've gotten like lots of records, and one of them, one or two happen to be sealed. I'm like, I kind of wanted to listen to it, but the longer it's sat here sealed, I just might leave it sealed and get an open one. I don't know. That's neurotic.
I think that we do sort of assign value to something being sealed or not sealed, and look, it does make sense. If it's sealed, it's going to be more valuable. However, the second I opened that thing up, I looked at it, and then I bagged it up. So it's it went back to its natural state, the bag, which should be everyone's natural state. Bag up.
It's easier to get something that's open and loose than it is to get something sealed, and it's a little more cost effective. But if something, for the price or through circumstance, like I said, through lots, you just get this thing. It's like, well, okay, I'll let it be.
Yeah, I could have just as soon bought another copy of that and just kept it bagged up. But I wanted to get my hands on it then. It brought me joy. It brings me joy that I opened it up. Look, this is the same thing with that brand new copy of Samus Returns. The first thing I did was open it up, and I'm glad I did because there was cool stuff in the box. First of all, the game was still shrink wrapped. Pop that open because I want to play the game. Obviously, it's not shrink wrapped anymore. But look, it's at its final destination. It's not going anywhere. The music CD that's in there is still shrink wrapped. I'm probably not going to crack that thing open because if I want to listen to that music that badly, I can go grab. There's no need in my eyes to open up the CD, and also I don't even have a CD player in this room active. So,
what's a CD, Grandpa?
Yeah, it's like a physical MP3. It's like
what's an MP3? I just use streaming services.
Yeah, the MP3 is what's being streamed. It's like it's like streaming if it were on a plastic disc. There you go.
It's like a record, but smaller and like more advanced.
Grandpa, let's eat your f***ing French fries.
Red Chaser.
Who knows? Like that theoretical child, aka you, started grinding my gears. You want to know what else grinds my gears? And probably yours as well, because you were the one who brought it up, and I said so as well. You tell me what grinds your gears.
So, I have an eBay shop, and I list all my stuff. You go on eBay and you can either bid on stuff or you can do buy it now. So I list everything buy it now, and I put a price up, and I always put or best offer because I'm open. I'm not set in stone. So I had a game up for $15, and somebody sent me an offer for $6. Now, first off, in the biz, we call this a low ball, which that's. I mean, look, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Have I thrown out some low ball offers in my life? For sure, with with maybe the assumption of like, okay, I'm opening a dialogue. Okay, this is like a low number. And then maybe the person who will respond with, okay, well, they're going to come down and we're going to meet in the middle somewhere. That's how negotiations go, So I had it for 15. He fires back with 6. I say, okay, I'll fire back with 10. Still a generous, that's 30% discount. Generous. He fires back again with $6. He didn't budge. No like $7, no $6.50. He didn't. He just fired back with the same number.
How about $10? That's 30% off for you. I won't pay it.
For sure. And also in the biz, it's like, all right, we need to move this stuff. It can't just be sitting there forever. So, I mean, it was like a Japanese soccer game. So it's like, it's been, it's niche, already. So if any interest is interest. So I didn't have time for it. And I was just like, you know what? Take it. I'll take the 6.
He wore
But
you down.
just, well, sure, I guess. It's just the fact that you're not, I really budged. I said, here's a nice thing, and a response to your low ball, whatever. And he said, no, I'm not. I still want to do 6. He strong armed me, and normally I don't go for it, but I guess I was either feeling generous or just over it, and I accepted the offer. So woo.
Listen, I know it will bring down your seller rating, but you ought to pack some glitter in with that thing as a thank you for his generous offer of $6.
Warm regards. I don't care. Look, it just stuff comes in, goes out. I'd rather it go out and use the money to turn it into stuff I do want. So I'm fine.
Yeah, ma'am, I understand. Look, here's the middle ground of how you get away with this. I was filming a power hour the other day, and I realized something that I hate more than anything is I hate getting something packaged with packing peanuts, and like 3 out of the like 10 packages that I opened had packing peanuts, and I mean like a lot of packing peanuts in them, and I was just like, oh, you should be drawn and quartered for using packing peanuts. There's just any better thing to to use to package this stuff than packing peanuts, and it drove me insane. And now you get packing peanuts, and make sure to send that $6 game with a bunch of packing peanuts. It is the packing equivalent of just putting confetti in the package.
Now, this, of course, is, your opinion. I don't know why the packing
No,
peanuts...
that's correct.
Right. I don't know why they irritate you so much. I mean, I could go one way or another. I don't see packing peanuts and stuff. I mean, I guess it could be, somebody who doesn't send stuff often or regularly would get that. So maybe it's more of a noob kind of error or whatever. I'm not using packing. You have to go and buy packing peanuts. I mean, look, I'm just recycling stuff that I've got. Right.
That is the thing. Like, I'm taking the packing peanuts out of the equation. They went straight in the garbage. I'm not using those to pack up anything. Because,
all right, look.
Because it's a giant mess. It's a giant wasteful mess. Like, I hate it. I was like, oh boy, I can't wait to grab this thing. And now I've grabbed the thing and I have a mess I have to clean up.
I've got enough stuff coming in and going out that, I just reuse or hang on to, boxes and packing materials. So that's free, basically.
Yeah, that's...
And there's the trash room at the apartment. People are always getting their stuff, and I'm never going to run out of boxes. So, and it's recycling. So, we're doing the earth a service by collecting video games.
Yeah. So don't use packing peanuts.
And don't go buy them either, and don't eat them. Don't put them in your mouth to make them melt a little bit. I mean, it's cool, but just don't. They're not edible. I don't think they're toxic. I guess you could technically eat it, but you might have a bad day 4 hours later.
They only
4 to 6 hours.
Vaguely resemble peanuts. They are not edible in any sort of way.
Well, they're more like Cheetos, I guess. Cheesy poofs. Yeah,
gosh, I don't know.
What if you put like popcorn seasoning on it, or it probably would. I mean, it might taste like something.
Don't do it.
It's like tofu. You just season it with whatever, and it tastes like whatever. So what's for dinner tonight?
Tide Pods. Eat them for the clicks.
No. The Chaser Brothers podcast does not support that. Don't listen to that.
Yeah, unless you're putting popcorn seasoning on them, apparently.
No. Disregard that. No Tide Pod challenge. Also, that's old. That's an outdated challenge.
Okay.
Do the ice bucket challenge.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Wave 2.
Way older.
The ice bucket challenge came back. There's been a
Good.
recent resurgence in the ice bucket challenge.
I'm not doing it.
My favorite thing about that, I was like, to a person, if you asked them why they were doing that, oh, because it's the ice bucket challenge. Yeah, like it was supposed to generate awareness of multiple sclerosis or MLS or whatever.
ALS.
Yeah, there you go.
MLS is like selling houses or something, right? 80% correct as usual on both accounts for us.
Listen, I want to keep the ball rolling about what I'm mad about, but finish your thought.
A lot of the times, these people get dressed up. Girls have hair and makeup. I mean, I wouldn't want to mess all that up. Also, you pour the bucket on yourself, and a lot of the times you miss. And it's not a real good. It's not like, you go to the fair and there's a clown sitting over a dunk tank and you get him. But this is just like, oh, I got a little wet, it's cold, but I missed myself. Ugh. Anyway, go support Lou Gehrig's disease.
Look,
don't support it. Support getting rid of it. Said that wrong.
That's my favorite line in Ted. Listen, I don't mean to be mean here, but I seriously hope you get Lou Gehrig's disease. Jeez. Look, I don't want to yuck your yum. If you're like, hey, let's do a TikTok trend and that makes you happy, by Jove, get after it. Do what makes you happy. Make
sure you douse yourself.
Yeah, we're doing what makes us mad right now, and that's gonna move on to the next part of what grinds my gears. You have been getting a bunch of targeted ads for Magic the Gathering cards, as have I, specifically because they're Final Fantasy cards. And so, look, I played Magic the Gathering when I was in 6th grade. A long time ago. I don't have my cards anymore. I sort of vaguely remember how to play. However, I got a group of buddies and they all play. And so like the thing with Magic right now is the commander decks. And so it's just sort of like a new spin on how to play. And they've got these Final Fantasy commander decks, and they've got booster packs and stuff like that. This is all well and good. And I go, oh, they have Final Fantasy 6 commander decks. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll join my buddies and I'll get a commander deck. And everything will be fun, and I'll play it, and it'll be cool because it's Final Fantasy VI, and that's my favorite Final Fantasy. And yes, are we going out on a limb here and collecting something that is not normally a thing that we'd collect? Yeah, sure, but only in a utilitarian sense. And also, it's Final Fantasy VI stuff, so I can justify the specialization. So I go, how much do these things cost? And I can't find the cost of anything because all the pre-orders have been bought up and they're being scalped.
Now, okay, I wasn't sure on a release date, so maybe they're not out yet. I don't know. I don't have all the facts. I just know that I've been getting the ads, and I do click on them, and it takes me to Amazon, and it says new. I don't know, new and used, available for an astronomical number.
Yeah, I saw a thing of booster packs for $880. I hate this planet, and it deserves to burn.
I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know what the case is. I don't know if they're out. I don't know if, like, once they're officially released or whatever, if the accessibility, if you can get them or not. I don't know if it's as big as Pokemon, So I don't know. I just like it because it's Final Fantasy. I don't play Magic. I never played Magic. I never collected the cards. But do I have some like other little random Final Fantasy cards? Yeah. from random releases. Final Fantasy 14. Stuff like that. But like you said, it's part of my ongoing, always going quest is Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest stuff. I'll always pick up a little something here and there if it's around. But yeah, cards. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought cards would be the craze that it is?
Yeah, and look, there is a solution here. If you just want to play, you can download this stuff online and it's fine, or you can if you're just I'm sad that we all have to be forced into doing that. For me, it was definitely like, I want to play, but the priority is so low that I need a stepping stone to get me into doing it. So all I want is one pack for myself, and it's like, okay, well, you gotta pay scalper prices. Well, I won't do it, because the second you do, they win. And they can, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. Hate them. Jeez, f***ing scalpers, man. Fuck. Pisses me off.
Okay. Yeah, come on down. I know the steam's you gotta have the blowout valve. You gotta have it, you gotta let it out. Because otherwise it'll really build up. You might end up going postal.
Yeah, I just look, the video game market is it's gotten out of control, but not so much so that you can't, you got to pay a little bit more, but if you look around, you'll find the right prices. I feel bad for anyone that's into any sort of trading card, like Pokemon. Like, this is a kid's trading card game. You've got pirates, sitting in a Target for hours, waiting to scalp, and
Somalian pirates with machetes.
I hate it. It's these people their literal existence is to suck the joy out of all of us for a cheap buck.
Sure. It's depressing. We have a YouTube video where we went to Galactor NATO Rex, and the owner there, Miguel, he sells a lot of Pokemon cards, and he's seen stuff like this, and it's a nightmare, because it's like, he has to sell to kids, and he has to, they can't buy these packs, $18, $25 a pack, and it's a lot, and the parents are paying for that. The kids can't enjoy, a fun thing that's technically, a little card game to play with your friends. But, adult scalpers, etc., have, sort of overrun this whole thing. And, it's tough because, look, have I waited in line super early for a thing in my life? Sure. To get, one or maybe two. One the rock and one the stock. But am I snatching up, a whole pallet of, widgets to, then immediately turn around and flip? No. So there's a line. How much do you do before you're, an evil flipper?
Well, right. In this scenario, you're keeping the stuff and using it for its intended purpose. Or you're sitting on one, just just like, hey, this is pristine and untouched, and that makes me feel good.
Well, right, because we all know that you can't make money selling video games, so don't even try.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Send them to us.
A fool's errand. Yeah, send them to us.
How about a little happy news? You want to switch gears?
Yeah, enough of what you can't get. Here's what you can get. Oh, you want to take this? You good?
So Costco has lowered the price of the OLED Switch to $200. I think it's while supplies last, but that's not bad. The Switch 2 on the horizon. Who knows the availability there? You get yourself an OLED Switch for $200. Yeah,
we are going to exist for for a year or so at least in a unless Nintendo decides to sort of follow PlayStation's model where they're like, all right, the PlayStation 5 has been out for 5 years, but they're still dropping PS4 games because it's the systems are can be prohibitively expensive depending on what your income range is there. So if you can play Ghost of Tsushima on PS4 because you have a PS4 and you don't want to buy a PS5, it's that ecosystem is still alive, and hopefully for the Switch they'll kind of do that too. So it's a nice upgrade from the original one, especially if you like using the handheld mode. Or at the very least, it has an Ethernet port built into the dock. The OLED one does, if you're just keeping it docked up or whatever. But $200 is a good say goodbye price, and if you just want to get one to hold on to it, I'm sure you can sell it for $300 5 years from now.
Right.
I mean, especially if it's a special edition one, like any of those special edition late stage 3DSs, man, those things CIB, they go for a penny. I just wanted one to play my game, and I did get it, but I still paid up. I definitely paid more than for what that thing cost when it came out in the first place. It had a receipt in the box, and I think it was like $100 or something. I was like, come on.
Now look,
or it was 150 maybe.
Now, and this turns a lot of people off who are getting started because all they hear is like, man, retro everything is so expensive. Games are so expensive. A lot of that is true, but there are little pockets of stuff that are still surprisingly cheap. PS3 games, I think they're kind of on the rise, but they're you can get cheap PS3 games, you get cheap PS4 games. So, I mean, the games, these games now are the retro video games of the future. So, get them now while they're still, relatively current. Right now, GameCube, PS2 are, I think on the up. GameCube games are definitely pricey for the most part, the good stuff.
Yeah.
OG Xbox? I don't think so. Not so much.
No, I mean, there's PS2 has so many games and they produce so many of them. Like you
1,800 or 1,700, I think.
Yeah, you can. There's plenty of PS2 games. I mean, a lot of those games still hold up. Actual retail price as of October 8th, 2017 at 9:53 a.m. $149.00. I paid $100 more than that.
Right.
But I also got 6 games. So I got my money's worth on that one, and it's fine. I'm playing Return to Samus is really good. So I had to pay the gold price, but I'm enjoying it. It's great. It was a nice little thing to bring around. The thing's the same size as my phone, so it's a lot more portable than bringing a Switch around with you. And the game's...
Did you say portable or hoardable? I like that.
You got that right,
Hoardable.
mister.
Oh, listen, we are in the midst of a second, renaissance for video games and retro games, ever since COVID. And I mean, look, it can't last forever. The Pokemon thing can't last forever. It's at a certain point people will move on. And then, the true fans can, have their thing back. I feel like that's with everything, I guess,
Yeah. I mean we all just gotta hodl and not submit to the will of the scalpers. If they go and buy up everything, and then we all band together and go, we are not going to pay your scalper prices. Then they're just going to be sitting on top of a bunch of stuff that they have to get rid of, and we don't do it until they get rid of it for retail price or less.
All right, don't feed the trolls. And really, the people who make all this stuff, the manufacturers, I mean, look, if you've made you have to flood the market. If you make a bunch of Pokemon cards and the scalpers snatch them up immediately, you've made all your money that you tried to make because you sold all your products. So
right, flood the market, make it so that they can't scalp.
Well, right, and do it. I would just be sneaky about it. I would be like, make it look super scarce, so the scalpers buy up all the stuff. Okay, so the manufacturers get their nut, and then immediately, a month later, or even 2 weeks later, put your second wave of stuff out, so all the regular people can get it. And then, you're gonna get two birds stoned with one kill. How does it work?
You're gonna get two birds stoned at once.
Right. I mean, look, I'm not a business guy, but I think that might, help everybody. And then the scalpers will have to, at the very least, put, not huge markup stuff and just, sell it back at retail. What do I know? I'm just a guy. I'm just a rad chasing guy who likes video games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of countermeasures that could be employed, but ultimately, you know what the easiest thing to do is? Nothing at all.
Oh, yeah. That takes no effort. It's low effort.
Yeah, nothing takes no effort, and you don't lose any money on nothing. So,
all right. I guess on the other hand, you've made your nut, so you don't need to worry about it. And then people will be mad at you for a while, and then they'll forget about it, and then the toxic relationship cycle continues.
No,
because we can't quit them.
Yeah. If you see a scalper in public, punch him in the face. Don't let him do it.
Ooh. Tell him the Son of Chaser sent you.
Yeah, Rad Chaser washes his hands of this endorsement.
Big time.
I think it's about time for the bottom line here.
Sure thing, boss. The bottom line is you can get a cheap OLED Switch. Go for it. I mean, I don't think it's a hand-me-down. It still has, a lot of life in it, and the screen's nice. I used to have one. I don't have one now, and I might snatch one up for $200. It's cheap.
That's a great price. There's still
good price.
There's still an extensive library of Switch games that exist that are out there ready for you to be playing, to be collected to be played, what have you. And the newest games for a while are going to come out on Switch 1 and Switch 2. So, there's that window. To future-proof your collection there, you get the Switch 1 versions of that stuff, and then, that becomes the more expensive version when in 20 years from now people are buying Switch games. That's
true, but listen, never forget you can't make money doing that, so don't try and send us the games.
Yeah, don't
send us the games. If you have an eBay store and you put your stuff up for best offer and somebody gives you a real lowball and you fire back with a fair, counter offer, and then they still don't budge, depending on how you feel that day, just give it to them. You've got one more thing out of your shop. You've made a couple of bucks. And, you don't have to deal with it anymore. Let it roll off you.
My bottom line is if you use packing peanuts to send stuff, you should be drawn and quartered. Along with the scalpers.
You should be packed in those peanuts and shipped off to Alcatraz.
When Jesus was on the cross dying for our sins, on one side of him was a guy who used packing peanuts to send his eBay orders, and on the other side was a scalper. And that's blasphemous. Blasphemous.
Forgive them. Yeah. Forgive them for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
But now we know.
But enough time, a couple thousand years has passed, so they don't deserve forgiveness. I'll forgive the peanut people. They don't know what we've decided that they don't know what they're doing. They went out and bought packing peanuts. They don't know any better. Get the inflatable bags.
Go pack the scalpers up in the peanuts and ship them off to Alcatraz.
Get the inflatable bags, and look, the bags are great because you're bagging up. You're bagging up your order, and that's the bottom line. Always bag up.
I think Alcatraz is haunted. I don't know if I feel like it is. I think it is now. I don't remember. I think there was a Ghost Adventures that had Alcatraz. I might be thinking the Eastern State Penitentiary, though.
You ever played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4?
Thug? No.
That's not Thug. That's Tony Hawk Underground. I said Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Also no?
No, because I'm guessing you're going to say something about Alcatraz.
Oh, yeah. Well, Alcatraz is one of the levels on Tony Hawk 4. I love that game. Tony Hawk 3.
Is that a PS4 game?
Yeah, that is a PS2 game. But now Tony Hawk 3 and 4 has come out. You can get that on PS5. So when they release Thug 1 and 2 on the new consoles, that's gonna be the moneymaker right there. Thug's good.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's good. That's good for a bottom line. I forgot to do the business, which is we're doing the business backwards today. So there we go. If you want to contact us, you can at chaserbros@gmail.com. With any questions, concerns, maybe you love packing peanuts and you want to convince us why it's the best thing to use for packing.
We're open to that.
Yeah, I will certainly entertain a level-headed discussion about why you should not be drawn and quartered for using packing peanuts. And if the answer is you know not what you do, then yeah, you deserve forgiveness for sure.
But if you've listened to this podcast, you do now know what you've done.
Yes, and therefore do not all future peanut packing will not be forgiven. So you've been warned. Also, if you want a free copy of Volume 2 of Nintendo Power, be the first to email us at chaserbros@gmail.com, and I'll send that to you for free. No shipping, no nothing.
It's Castlevania 2. Simon Belmont's on the cover holding a disembodied head of Dracula. It'll scare your children.
Yeah. Lord knows they need a good scaring. And... And to check out all the other wonderful podcasts on the Jabroni U Podcast Network, follow the Jabroni University Podcast Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at JabroniU and at JabroniU.com. There you can catch up on the latest New Japan Pro Wrestling news on New Jabroni Pro Wrestling. G1 season's coming up soon, baby. I'm going to be taking a sabbatical from here and doing nonstop wrestling podcasts. The other podcast is just a commercial for this podcast, but if you like pro wrestling and you want to get into Japanese pro wrestling, I'm your Sherpa for that. It's my other hobby that doesn't involve collecting stuff.
Do it, or we'll make you eat packing peanuts with popcorn seasoning on them.
Tune in to Biff Radio. Listen to all new hip-hop and flow and tell and draft pop culture on our flagship show, The Draft Podcast. Again, your gateway to follow all these wonderful podcasts is jabroniu.com. Remember to leave all the podcasts a 5-star rating, to like, share, retweet, and subscribe, or else you will be drawn and quartered.
Yeah. In the savage way.
Yeah, so you don't want that. You just don't want it. And now that is the end of the show. We're out of here. We've given you the bottom line and we've given you the business. We'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm the son of Rad Chaser. And Chaser, until next time.
Until next time, my beautiful chasers, please, please, please never forget. Keep chasing them.
Rat chaser.